All right, we are back on MorningLine. Thanks for joining us. This is kind of exciting. I mean, if you like the city of Nashville, you visited, you live here, the plans to redevelop the East Bank. With us this morning is Harriett Brooks. She's a landscape architect with the Metro Planning, and she's involved in this massive project, which has already been signed off on. We'll roll a little more video again to show you what it's going to look like, or the plans for it. During the break, you said something to me, and I guess it's right. I didn't think about it. Doing what you're doing, you're basically getting a chance here to build a neighborhood or community over there on the East Bank from the ground up. It's not as though you're going in to make improvements to something that's already existing, where you have to deal with right-of-way and already people living there that are saying, no, we don't want this, we do want this, even though I know you've had focus groups on what we want over there. But how unique or rare is this, and what kind of opportunity is it to do it right?
This is incredibly rare. I mean, even within the country, the whole U.S., this is a kind of once-in-a-generation opportunity to have this amount of land within the inner loop, right on the riverfront and right across from downtown, in one of the fastest growing cities in the country.
Yeah, it's just unheard of. I mean, you can say, oh, well, there's property anywhere way out. This is property worth millions right there in the inner loop. And it's not developed, it's really not. There's parking lots and a couple of industry, and that's it. And so now, is it a planned community? Would you call it? It's going to be a planned community? Because I don't want to... It's
not a planned community, I think, like people think when they think of a planned community.
Like Irvine, California. Have you ever been to Irvine, California?
I have not.
Okay, but it's planned. Everything's planned. It's nice, it's planned, but it's all planned and to me kind of blah.
Right.
So, but I mean, but what I mean by planned, it is planned in that you have an idea of what you're going to put in there, and you don't have to deal so much with existing infrastructure because it's all new.
Right, exactly. So this is planned in that we are laying the framework in terms of road network, making walkable size blocks that are very urban scale, making sure we get a robust park network and bicycling and pedestrian circulation patterns in there from the beginning. But the private land is going to remain private land, and so those private property owners are going to be able to develop their property as they see fit.
Will there be some limits as to what types of things could go into it? I'm just thinking, I have nothing against it one way or the other, but I don't want to see a whole line of fast food chains down there.
So there will be, so the existing zoning has limitations on
there's
use.
Just certain things.
So someone's not going to be able to build a factory.
Yeah, or a factory or something. But there will be restaurants for sure. But I'm just wondering, what kind of things will be attracted to that location?
And there will be design guidelines in terms of how the buildings are constructed, how they interact with the street. One thing that we've talked a lot about, especially when we're talking about these, really large 30-story towers and that kind of thing, is maintaining views towards the river and orientation of the river. So we'll have design guidelines in place so that tall towers are not going to be blocking people's views or sunlight or that sort of thing. We want to use the design guidelines that we put in place to maintain a really kind of livable environment that supports high quality of life and that sort of thing.
Let's take a phone call from Ann. Ann, good morning. Hi, Ann.
Good morning. Two major things that I'm concerned about, and one is affordable housing and what is being done to ensure that any development that goes on down there is restricted on the amount of affordable housing that has to be included and what guarantees are made to make sure that that happens. The other thing is here in East Nashville, in the last 10 years, we've been bombarded with new development and no infrastructure. This is the first time we're hearing infrastructure included in a major project. So what is being done to ensure that whatever road, especially infrastructure, is done ties into what is already existing to improve the traffic that is going to be overflowing and bombarding the neighborhood that is already existing, because we do not have an infrastructure that is supporting the development that has already gone on in this city And I, for one, have been working tirelessly on affordable housing, something else we don't see in, and I'm right now in discussion with a developer in East Nashville where our character plan calls for it, but the development is not putting it in. So what reassurance do we have that that will not happen in this project?
Thank you, Ann, as always. What do you think? She's got a couple of points there. What do you want to hit on first?
Sure.
Infrastructure,
those are all excellent points. I'll touch on affordable housing first.
Okay.
So affordable housing is a huge issue, as we all know, in Nashville right now. Real estate market housing prices are just skyrocketing. Affordability is becoming an issue as our city grows, as we're experiencing big growing pains. So this is something that we've been working on since the beginning of the planning process, but really was community driven in a lot of the engagement work that we've done. So the real opportunity with the East Bank that is different from how we've approached affordable housing in the past is that we have 113 acres of Metro-owned land on the East Bank.
Okay.
So with 113.
13, gotcha.
So with the Metro-owned land, we have an opportunity to really set standards and guidelines and benchmarks for affordable housing, because the mayor has committed to not selling any of the Metro-owned land as a part of this process. We will remain the property owners, so we can kind of set the standards for what we want affordable housing to be. So as a part of let me step back for just a minute.
Sure.
So after the plan came out 6 weeks ago, we intentionally did not put affordable housing benchmarks in the original draft of the plan because we felt there was a need to re-engage with the mayor's affordable housing task
force is involved,
and
right,
work with the community to have the community weigh in on what appropriate benchmarks should be. And so in the past 6 weeks, we've had 2 meetings specifically with the Affordable Housing Task Force and 2 community meetings that were focused solely on affordable housing and working through that issue. Out of that, the plan has committed to at least 20% of the units will target households earning between 61 and 80% of area median income. And at least 40% of the units will target households earning at or below 60% area median income. And so with that, we're trying to create kind of a matrix of affordability to allow for workforce housing, but also affordable housing within the East Bank to create a real kind of mixed income, diverse community. And then a huge part of this as well, it's not just about the housing. It's also about creating complete neighborhoods, complete communities where people have access to jobs, access to transportation, access to parks, that we're creating entire equitable and affordable neighborhoods where housing is a component, but we also I have 2 small children. You know, affordable daycare is a huge issue.
Sure.
You know, and so things like that, proximity to your daily needs and the ability to, you know, to access those in affordable and equitable ways are also things that we are putting within the vision document as part of the policy that can start to guide how the Metro-owned land is developed.
And really the key there, and Ann was wondering about what guarantees that it follows through. This is Metro land, so how would this work? And I don't want to take you outside your realm. I know you're the architect on this landscape-wise, but it's Metro land where then Metro's not going to sell the land, but they would lease it, for instance, to a developer who wants to put condominiums or tall skinnies someplace, and they'd have to abide by the guidelines to do this. Whereas, you know, the reason for this is there's so many private owners out there right now who have some affordable houses, and what they're doing is just, you know, basically evicting these folks. Redoing it, and again, they can make more money and then renting out the space now for triple what they were. And so all this affordable housing is disappearing. there won't be that option. If a developer wants to develop on this metro land, they can't buy it. They're going to have to abide by the guidelines. Say, look, you can make your money, you can build your luxury condos, but you have to have this many that fit the affordable housing profile.
Right, and you've hit on a really important point, because one of the issues with private property is that they can tell us, oh, you know, we're going to build and it's going to be affordable. But then if they sell that land and the next person comes in and says, I don't want those units to be affordable anymore, then we've lost that opportunity.
And that's what we see happening a lot right now.
Affordability in perpetuity is really important.
And so the key to that is that it remains metro land. You do not sell it.
Exactly.
Well, and you believe there will be developers, you know, lining up to do this.
Oh yeah, I don't. We're not foreseeing any issue.
I didn't think there would be.
That.
They could make more money, but that they're going to do this. You're right, because it's such an appealing thing. Right. I mean, all right. Well, we'll take a break. We have more phone calls coming in. We'll get to those. But I mean, when you just think about this and what she's describing here, I guess it's the biggest redevelopment, if you want to call it redevelopment. I kind of call it development, but the biggest redevelopment project in this city's history. It's basically creating an entire new community on the East Bank. So it's a big, big deal. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll get into more of this. That was very good on the affordable housing. We'll talk more about some of these issues, take some phone calls with our guest right after this. Okay.